be heading. Keep in mind that every veto is now independent, so there is a possibility we could see the same map twice, and right on cue, we're going to see border for the second time tonight between these teams, Raven. I think this is only going to continue on what's been a close contest.
Yeah, this could go two ways, the way I look at it. I mean, Elevate had the momentum towards the end, so maybe after that map win, they're going to be up and about. That momentum could carry through and they could have quite a lot of success. But on the other hand, it could really favor the team that has more depth on the map, which you would think would have to be Fnatic. They could probably still bring out new strats on their defense, and that could throw Elevate off, and it could be really hard for them to adapt to that. So they're kind of like the two scenarios that I would see playing out.
Yeah, well, I guess with that said, what do you think heading into this second map? Is there any particular team you're favoring? Because I'm finding it hard. I'm still sitting on the fence a little bit after that one, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to call. I mean, Fnatic did a lot of things right in border in the first map, I should say, and so did Elevate, and some really standout performances from Elevate to bring it back for them. It's so hard to call. I honestly don't know which way to swing.
All right, well, we're finding it a little bit tough to pick a winner. Let's bring up the poll and see what you guys at home think. Probably expecting Fnatic to be quite dominant in the poll, and they are. Maybe people are voting in advance of the first result. I don't know, but yeah, let's just ignore that. It's going to be closer than that, surely.
I would expect it to be at least closer than that. I mean, Elevate just showed that they can beat Fnatic on border in the first map, so there's no reason why they couldn't do it again.
Yeah, and I guess, as we were sort of alluding to earlier, Fnatic could be in a good position, though, because we know that in terms of the teams in ANZ, they're probably the best at being able to adapt on the fly. And when you're playing potentially what could be 12 rounds on the same... 12 rounds? 24 rounds on the same map, that offers a lot of opportunities to adapt. But guess what? We're going to find out very shortly if Fnatic has what it takes to get a map back here against Elevate. It's map number 2 between these teams tonight. It's going to be border once again. Let's jump straight into the action. The ban phase, Raven, are you expecting it to be the same as the first matchup?
I mean, we could see some differences there based on, you know, the adaptations the teams need. Elevate might see something they want to ban out differently to the previous map. Thatcher's definitely going to be still banned, that's for sure. And we'll see whether there are any other changes. One thing that is different is the starting sides. So Fnatic will be starting this one on attack, whereas they were defending first.
Interestingly enough, Elevate are actually the team to ban out Thatcher, despite Fnatic almost having that as a staple ban these days. So it'll be interesting to see what Fnatic follow it up with. It will be Capital. So same attacking bans as the last matchup. So it's feeling like a little bit deja vu so far.
Yeah, no changes in the operator ban phase, at least at this stage. Valkyrie continuing the trend of that. So maybe we won't see any variances there. It's just going to come down to the strategies and how the rounds play out. And most of those rounds, I believe there was only one flawless. The rest were just felt like they were all so close. So many final seconds clutches, if you want to call them that, or just not securing it until that final moment in 1v1s or 2v2s. It was really close, not just in the final score to 7-5, but just round by round.
Well, Mirror was, of course, the last defensive ban, so they will be identical to the previous matchup. This is going to make for a very interesting match. Of course, in the past, we wouldn't see teams necessarily playing the same map back-to-back against the same opponent as well, so it definitely opens up for a different dynamic, and it's going to be interesting to see how these teams approach the second map.
One thing we saw Mentalist tease and not secure was the Dokkaebi pick, and actually it's Lusty that's going to be 6-picking onto it. And I wonder exactly how Fnatic is going to do that. Something that I've seen Fnatic do before, especially after they lose a map, if it's a best of 3 or in a situation best of 1's backing it up, is they'll come out of the gates really strong. So maybe they're going to be using this to facilitate some kind of really fast, aggressive play. Not necessarily a rush, but just something a bit more swift to try and catch Elevate off guard.
If you are just rejoining, we are not replaying the first map. There was a rule change over the mid-season, or over the break of Season 11, where each map veto is independent, so there's no auto bans essentially, which means that we can see a team play the same map back-to-back, even on the same night. So this is the second matchup between these two teams, and it's important to keep that in mind. Hopefully,
5 seconds
It will
left
be as
before
close as the
insertion.
first one, which was 7-5 in favor of Elevate.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and
It's going to be
defuse
very
it.
interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's also interesting to note, as you said, that it is different starting sides, but that effectively means that each team is carrying across that momentum from the first map because they are continuing on that side.
And if that's the case, you would think that that favors Elevate, seeing as they were the ones that won 4 defenses in a row to close out that map. So now they get a chance to continue that. Gold Legion getting droned out there. Didn't think he was going to see it at first. There's another one that has spotted him without him realizing he's lost his drone. If he doesn't have a rotate, oh, he does. Okay, good. I was going to say he might be stuck in that corner, but nope, actually not. Fnatic look like they're actually doing something a little bit different here, taking that security CC control, not electing to push office, which they really did last time that Elevate held Armory.
Fnatic just taking their time to gather intel, as it looks like Elevate have now defaulted back towards the site. A little bit less keen, I would say, than Fnatic to try and hold ground off site. Quite content in playing intimately alongside those bombs, and can't fault them on that for the most part. It paid off in their defensive half. Again, just looking to carry across that momentum here onto map number 2.
No vertical play from Elevate at this stage. Elevate, again, we have to be careful now that they've forfeited that 90 control. Worthy is the one holding down Fountain. But now their rotate holes can be used against them. Starting to see some engagements coming out here. Digital is the one that is the opening death. Red trying to use those smoke grenades also to ward off that Maverick from opening the wall. It worked really well last time that they were defending Armory on the first map. Feels weird to say it like that. But if Fnatic can get that wall open, it's going to help them a lot.
Well, we've seen them struggle when they haven't been able to open it, so Ace is definitely committing to it. Now trying to breach the bottom. Of course, if you're able to torch both the top and the bottom, you can just soft breach the wall. Ace is having some real issues. Those smoke grenades are being perfectly placed by Red, but he has none left. So unless they can shoot his feet, they will not be able to take him out through the wall. Meanwhile, Mental is trying to apply pressure from possibly sandwich window, but instead decides to rotate. And despite Elevate looking like they're a little bit cramped in sight, they're still in a really nice position to try and deny this plant, despite Fnatic still having 5 minutes up.
And the good thing about what Red did there is he delayed a lot of time for that wall to be open. So now Fnatic really have to rush this. Quick drone, figure out where they're going to plant, and they're going to have to get in and actually do it.
Magnet gets a pick from that sandwich window, a really good place to gain control of this site. Tex now will lead the charge in towards site. Red does drop aces. He is down though, leaving it all up to the remaining members of Elevate to try and deny this, but Tex with the entry goes absolutely massive in that late round from Fnatic. That late round aggression from Fnatic will prove successful.
Tex just says, get on the back, boys. I'm going deep with Ash. Gets a couple of picks and secures the round. And that really was what it took, was just somebody actually pushing deep to get the frags. Because if he hadn't done that and just sat back, Elevate were doing well to pick them off from the distance. As the Mozzie player didn't quite catch who it was. Up a pick there. Almost opened it up, it was. Oh, it wasn't actually. It was God Legion. My bad. Either way, a great execute from Tex. Really last minute. Again, these rounds coming down to these final seconds, whether it's 1v1s or not. It still means these rounds are just incredibly close.
I mean, we did see Fnatic against TBD on Coastline particularly, playing a pretty slow early to mid game and then being really explosive in their aggression late round. And I don't think that last round was really intended to be as slow as it was. Red played such a big part in denying aces that opening on the wall, but Fnatic never really looked uncomfortable. Their late round adaptation, such as Magnet getting on sandwich window and then the rush with Tex, just proved to be too overwhelming, and unfortunately that passiveness from Elevate was punished.
And they're gone to repeat the bomb site again, which we saw them do a couple of times, not every defense in that first map. Maybe identified a difference. Setup looks pretty much the same. So Vast on the dock.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Slight change there. God Legion starting off in security.
Attackers must locate and defuse
Let's
the
see
bomb.
where the adaptation
Defender
has
left
come from.
designated staging area. Defender exposed.
Magnet actually did secure 3 kills in that last round. A big round from him, and he did have a pretty good first map as well. Playing a lot of that buck and not only securing kills, but really trying to disrupt this passive on-site playstyle of Elevate by displacing them using vertical control. Aces once again tasked with hard breach. This occasion playing the Thermite does open up that office wall as Magnet will try and hit this vault to be able to go for the nade. Come on, Magnet, third time's a charm. There we go. He will jump up there, but it doesn't look like anyone from Elevate is actually playing there at the moment.
Yeah, and this is definitely a change that Fnatic are pushing this side, and also that Aces just went for the Thermite really does help facilitate this push. Now that Triple is open, it means that they can quite simply take that office control, and there's a rotate in Archives for them already. God Legion is the opening death for Elevate to the hand of Tex. He's still in good form so far in map 2.
Tex, of course, no longer... he is, I guess, the newest addition to the team, but if you want to talk about more broadly, the core, Aces, of course, has come off the bench most recently. So it's feeling like a little bit of a new Fnatic, but old in many other ways, and so far it's been working out not too badly as Mentalist will drop red, and Tex just completely deletes Worthy off the server. Vast now the last member alive in a 1-on-5, and Fnatic just beginning to steamroll this momentum, a flawless round for them. And Raven, it's starting to feel like it could be slipping away a little bit here. Elevate really need to switch on here and not let these rounds slide.
Part of me thinks that maybe Elevate are just letting too much happen to them. You talked about the passive playstyle that Elevate were adopting. In that round in particular, they just let Fnatic take that office control quite comfortably. It was never really contested, and it allowed Fnatic to just get the rest of the map control, hold those angles, and so many of them were just caught off trying to rotate back to site. Elevate not able to really make an impact at all, which meant Fnatic just ran over the top of them. I'm glad to see that Elevate are not going to repeat that bomb site again. Generally, more than twice is going to end up being a mistake.
Aces once again 6-picking onto the Thermite. Did we see him play Thermite at all on the first map? I felt like he basically stuck to Maverick, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty sure it was just Maverick.
Interesting decision from him. Maybe deciding that it's a little bit easier in some respects to get walls open quickly. Of course, the blowtorch does take significantly longer, and you do expose yourself to defensive utilities such as those smoke grenades. Elevate not bringing a smoke on this occasion, but previously we have seen Aces that were slowed down by those canisters. Either way though, it's feeling quite similar for Fnatic, and I'm sure if they can replicate the form from the last 2 rounds, they could well go 3-0 up here as Elevate. Just struggling a little bit after the break.
Yeah, they haven't really gotten back into it. I mean, the first round was pretty close, even though they did only get 2 frags in the end. It was a final second execute, essentially. But that last one being flawless from Fnatic is that Elevate are with their backs against the wall. They're going to have to make some adaptations and do something a bit different, because it really feels like Fnatic have their number at the moment.
God Legion once again playing aggressive inside of CCTV as Aces will open detention wall. So it looks like Fnatic on this occasion going for quite a horizontal take, which we have seen teams try on occasion, instead of going for above control, but it does look like Fnatic now will rotate there. Still a little bit hard to get a feel for what exactly Fnatic are trying to execute here. Either way though, Elevate continuing to play quite passive.
And Tex very stubbornly not pulling out that Goon Mine, finally will do so. Really worried about that C4 below, seeing as it was the pulse that was droned out in customs. Taking a little more time to get the vertical control than we saw recently. Some shots coming out, but no marks hit. Worthy still playing very comfortably in Archives. Digital below to get the intel for him, and I like this so far from Elevate. I was a little critical of their passiveness, and that's what they're doing here, but I think in this instance, it's working out well.
We have now surpassed the halfway point of round number 3. all 10 members left on the server, 5 on each team. Tech's the only player to take a little bit of damage, but not anything too significant. Digital still on metal, gaining a lot of intel here, and Elevate should be fully aware that they're trying to push in this armory wall.
Yeah, and Magnet just wanting to push in to open some holes. I don't think they really are wanting to take it too deep. His buddy has rotated away. It was Tex. He's gone towards the front door now. I'm probably looking to do events execute, it looks like.
Mentalist gets the opening pick eventually, and now there's 45 seconds left for Fnatic to try and collapse onto site. Tex is going 4-0 so far. He's outside the B window currently. Could potentially go for a vault in and frag out here for his team as the coverage is being set up from above. There could be a gunfight right here though. God Legion will get that kill, and Elevate still have control above. 20 seconds left now, and they need to try and hold this. Fnatic not in the greatest position here as Elevate have members above and on site. Lusty though, he gets one, and Mentalist as well. They're losing these gunfights. Aces as well will get one. Mentalist gets the final one, and just like that, despite not being in the strongest of positions, Fnatic able to just win their gunfights, shut down Elevate, and now they're 3-0 up.
That ended up being a really dominant execute, but I thought that Elevate had a massive upper hands there, considering that God Legion, and I think it was still Worthy, had that vertical control. Must have got flanked. We didn't quite see what happened to them, but regardless, came down to those final seconds, and it just seems like Fnatic would have had to just go deep, or that'd be it. And they got all their kills, and now we're seeing them up 3-0. This is completely different to how we saw the first map play out.
Definitely is. Customs and supply will be chosen here by Elevate. We saw them attempt it once successfully in the first matchup.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
We are going to see it again. Scoreline for them though, not looking as positive as it did when they went to this site on the previous occasion, and they really only won this site off the back of a flank from Worthy, who was able to get himself a double and disable that diffuser. Either way though, a quick peek at the Elevate scoreboard, Raven, I think will give a pretty clear indication as to how badly they're struggling so far.
It's a bit grim, and there's also 2 players on Fnatic that haven't died yet. That's Tex and Mentalist, both deathless.
10 seconds left before insertion.
It really demonstrates how much Fnatic are just dismantling Elevate in map
5
2.
seconds to go.
Not sure whether that comes down to maybe a mentality shift. Is Elevate really ecstatic that they won the first map? Sometimes that can be enough to actually lose your focus, surprisingly enough. Or maybe it's just that Fnatic have pulled their thumb out and they said, "Nah, we know how to deal with this now," and they're just flexing their muscles a little bit.
Fnatic once again approaching the map in quite a similar fashion, but Digital will finally net his first kill of this map. That's Magnet being dropped. Red as well with the C4 into Tech, so momentum slowly starting to shift in favor of Elevate, and they're in the best position to win this round. Vast will collect one as well. That's his first kill too, so Elevate trying to get themselves back into this match as Aces will get the passport wall open. But Raven, just like that, it's looking pretty improbable for Fnatic.
Yeah, it's going to be up to the Clutch Masters themselves on Fnatic. Lusty, with a couple of those shots, gets refragged, leaving it all up to Aces now to clutch it out. And not to be, gets dropped on Assassin's Creed style from Worthy, finishing the round. Elevate finally peg one back and in quite strong form.
And obviously we didn't quite get to see all those opening picks, but it definitely felt like Elevate brought more early round aggression there. They didn't allow Fnatic to walk over the top of them, and once they got that first pick, they had that confidence to go for the second and then the third. And before the round really started, it was already over.
Yeah, it just really highlights that importance of the early contests and trying to secure an opening kill. Because every time that Fnatic have not got that or had their opening death, they've really struggled. I'd be interested to look back at the statistics from the first map about when Fnatic had opening deaths, how many rounds they were actually able to win, because I'm pretty sure it's quite low. So I think if Elevate can just continue to step it up and just take it straight to the face of Fnatic early, we might see them bring this back. And if we can get a 3-3 half, then it's all on for the second half.
Definitely still possible. And of course, Elevate pushing as hard as they possibly can for this win. Trying to position themselves in such a way that they can finish on top here in ANZ. Definitely a result that many wouldn't have expected, as of course Elevate going into this season
10 seconds left.
after leaving the Oddity organization underwent quite a few changes,
5 seconds remaining.
both on the roster and coaching side, Raven. But
By attackers.
it's been working out for them so far.
To defuse a bomb.
Yeah, they've had a great season 11, and they've finally taken a map of Fnatic, so that's probably a goal box that's been ticked for them for season 11. And I think even if they end up losing this map, they're going to be pretty happy with how things have gone. They're currently sitting on 24 points. They are behind TBD just, but they'll have TBD in the final week. So even if they lose this map, as long as they secure their maps against TBD, they can cement themselves second place, and that's probably what they're aiming for. Because Fnatic, they're quite a way ahead in terms of points, and it's going to take them winning both these maps for them to even have a chance getting first place.
The rush though is coming out from Fnatic, and Mentalist will get 2. That's massive for him as he tries to find more, and now control is in favor of his team. The plant going down from Tex, leaving it up to Vast and Digital to try and recover a round that's really slipped away quite quickly. That bomb going down, and Raven, I don't know what just happened, but the round is basically over for Elevate again before it really started.
Yeah, this is actually what I was expecting from the first round. I thought this would be the kind of aggressive playstyle that Fnatic would pull out straight away to try and bring momentum back. But either way, they closed that round out beautifully. I looked away on my second monitor for at least 3 seconds for the rankings, and then everything just started happening. It just came out of nowhere. Well played by Fnatic.
Mentalist just absolutely yeeting it into the site. May well be the replay here. It looks like it may be. Here it is, Mentalist with that M762 absolutely popping off. I think one of the funny parts about that round was Tex, who's been going off tonight. He was just the one to plant it down casually. Not much Elevate could do at that stage.
Sharing the plant stats.
Yeah. Which we do get to see in the new overlay, so I'm actually excited to see that. Of course, the new UI, the little diamond represents, is it plants and disables? I think it is.
Yeah, so technically classed as
Locate and
objective.
defuse bombs.
Yeah. So there you go, text with a little 1 next to that diamond in the top left of the screen. Going 4 and 1 as well. Mentalist is currently leading the kill count in this lobby though. 7 kills, 2 assists as well. On top of only 2 deaths. It's definitely been a good one for him so far tonight. Elevate though. Struggling a little bit here on the second map. Fnatic just walking over the top of them in these
10
rounds.
seconds to insertion.
Yeah, and that last round, literally, they just walked right over the
5
top of
seconds
them.
left before insertion.
Nothing that Elevate could do. Mind you, if God Legion had got that first pick onto Mentalist,
Attackers' objective is to
could have played
locate
out very
bombs.
differently, because Mentalist did not only get the double out of that, but it's a very important entry. God Legion trying to play with fire here, running out of East Stairs. Maybe just trying to slow Fnatic down again on that initial push, ensuring that they don't just take map control really quickly like they did in the previous rounds.
Worthy does get the entry though. So a positive start for Elevate here in round number 6. It is their last defense for the switch of halves. They'll be looking to win this one out. Try and get that scoreline a little bit tighter for their attack. And the closer it is, the better off they will likely be. As we have seen a lot of round trades, particularly on the first map, and we could well see that trend continue. So if Elevate want to give themselves any sort of chance, a 4-2 scoreline will give them that. Fnatic feeling very same in how they are approaching these attacks. Quite methodical, but again, they are bringing that aggression when required, and Magnet could open it up here with a grenade from below. Doesn't quite work out though. He actually gets damaged a little bit, I think, by maybe an impact or a friendly grenade, not too sure, but either way, he runs away feeling a little bit scared for his life.
Yeah, definitely made him play a little bit more hesitant there, not launching his grenade out, but he's in a strong position. Mentalist does finally get the trade back onto God Legion, so that does equal it out for the second half of the round. And he has important map control there in security. This nade could be on point from Magnet here. It
Oh
is
my god.
Red is deleted from below without even getting a chance to see what happened to him. And that's important smoke grenades for late round denial that Elevate just won't have a chance to use.
Definitely feel like there's a contest ensuing within ANZ of who's the best with frag grenades. We've seen Nico from Team Sinister popping off with them recently, and Magnet as well, who has been dropped. So Elevate now have evened out that man count. Vast still running around like crazy on the Vigil. We have seen Fnatic, Lusty namely, bring that to the table, but this flank from Worthy could be massive. There we go. He drops Mentalist, secures his double for the round, and now Lusty and Aces need to try and clutch this one up. Fast running through officers, trying to go for the flank on towards the B bomb site. Does drop one, leaving it all up to Aces now. He gets one. Will he be able to get any more? Ooh. No. Vast will get the hit fire in the end, and Elevate make the most of what has been a difficult first half.
Yeah, hipfire for style, and it was a big round from Vast. Ended up with a triple, I believe it was. So nicely done, bringing it 4-2. Like you said, that's probably not so bad for Elevate. I think especially considering that Fnatic shot out to 3-0 quite dominantly. So to bring back 2 rounds, they can hold that as a positive entering into their attacks.
What was the scoreline at halftime in the last map? Was it also 4-2 or was it was 3-3, wasn't it? I think I got my tracker wrong. Yeah, of the last map. 4-2. Okay, it was 4-2. I was right. Yes. Okay, I thought I got it wrong. There we go. The tracker is serving me well.
So history repeating itself.
Definitely. So definitely a chance that Elevate can bring this one back. Not out of the realm of possibility.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Fnatic on defense means they're going to start the Armory bomb site, the classic start for almost anybody on border defense. Sometimes you see a bathroom thrown in there just to throw somebody off, and maybe that's what Fnatic will pull out. I've definitely seen them do a bathroom strap before. We didn't see that on map 1. So maybe that is what they might try to do to put Elevate off just for at least 1 round.
That's a sneaky evil eye from Aces. We have seen Fnatic again extending their defenses quite aggressively across the map, and doesn't look like this round will be any exception. Those Electro Claw positions from Lusty, oh my goodness, I would not want to be Elevate trying to clear those out. We did see on Elevate's first attack of the first map, they had massive issues clearing those out, so maybe they've even had a quick change during the break to quickly look at where these Electro Claws are being thrown. I'm not sure, but either way, they're still in tough positions to clear.
Yeah, I feel like Elevate would definitely now be very much aware of how those Electro Claws are being placed and how to clear them if they want to. It looks like they might actually avoid it. They're going to check security and break and see that it's clear. So that is map control they could get for free if they want to. So far, it kind of looks like because they're stacked on the east that they might want to take office. But last time they tried this, they failed in fantastic fashion. I'm pretty sure it was actually a flawless round for Fnatic.
I almost thought for a second there Worthy was going to go for the same nade position on the roof as Magnet, but that won't be the case. It does appear as if Elevate are rotating over towards the Armory wall, forfeiting that push in towards Office, and that may well be the play, as we've seen Fnatic hold it quite strongly in the past. Rotates just being cut off here by God Legion as Elevate try and set themselves up to get this main wall open.
It's Mentalist on the smoke playing aggressively at the wall, which we didn't see them do much in the first map. It was actually Red doing that. Elevate looking to hard counter it here, burn this utility so that they can clear the Electric Claw, which they have done now. Mentalist still has 2 smoke babes in the pocket. C4 coming out, not hitting the mark. Digital losing about 15 HP, but he's not going to worry about that too much.
The wall is now being opened by Elevate. It is successful. That shield still could cause issues for the attackers. As we see Lusty holding behind that with the TCSG. Fast still with 2 Ash charges though, could clear that out quite easily, provided there's no ADS in the way. I think he uses the first there on the Evil Eye, leaving 1 in his pocket. He uses the second over towards that position as well, so trying to clear some other utility, but that shield will still be left standing.
Yeah, and the key position they still need to flush out here is going to be the smoke player in the box. It's Mentalist. You can watch that run in. It can be a little bit difficult to deal with on the entry without being repeaked from Sandwich. Elevate's going to be very careful here. And there's a player down below. Not spotted out. Thought he was going to run out the front door there. It's been open for him, so there's still a chance for Magnet. And he also has a C4 in the pocket for denial.
A strong presence below from Fnatic as they try and play off those C4s. Fast is there to cut the rotate, but he may not be able to stop Magnet from denying that plant. 15 seconds left in Elevate and now forced to commit. Mentalist will use the first of those smoke grenades to try and deny it, and Digital has to reposition. The frags now coming out from Fnatic, and Digital will reattempt the plant. Worthy is there to cover. Can Mentalist get the angle? He can't, and Digital should be able to get it down. He will. And now it's a 2v3 post plant. Elevate in decent positions to deny this. Fnatic now need to rotate through site. Worthy is on that rappel, but the prone there from Digital will be unpredictable. Worthy gets one as well, leaving it in a 1-on-1 now as Magnet gets that kill. Worthy is in the perfect position on this rappel. Magnet may well be forced to attempt the long arm, and he will. He fakes it out, re-peaks that angle, but Worthy is playing this so patiently. 7 seconds it takes to defuse that bomb. Worthy, he wastes enough time, gets the kill super close there in the end. If he had have lost that gunfight, Magnet likely would have taken the round, but Worthy comes out on top, and Elevate are starting to swing momentum back in their favor.
They are bringing it back. It's 4-3. This is what we saw on map number 1. Pretty good from Elevate. A really good plant from Digital, perfectly placed. If he was any closer to the doorway, he would have been in the smoke. Perfectly avoided that. Also wasn't so deep that when Mentalist peeked him, he was safe. So it meant that Worthy could cover the plant perfectly. Game of inches at the moment here, guys.
2 6 picks coming out here in round number 8. Magnet jumping onto Wamai. And a second 6 pick that I have now forgotten, so I will not mention it. It was the Dockerby one, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. My brain just went absolutely blank there. Either way though, either team, or both teams trying to outfox the other rather. And I think that's really the story of tonight. Playing the same map back to back, it really comes down to who can continue to just change things up and try and counter what the other team's bringing to the table.
Yeah, and a couple of interesting changes. I like the Wamai from Fnatic because what is really happening here is Elevate are using our utility really smart to clear the wall and get it open. They're not overexpending a lot of it. And what they are now going to have to do is think about these magnets from Magnet. That's going to be hard to say. Because like this one in particular on the outside is going to be able to catch a lot of that utility without them really realizing. A lot of players aren't going to be used to looking above or behind them for something that will catch their projectiles.
Yeah, and I guess that's the big meta shift that Wamai brings to the board. We're so used to ADSs being placed in predictable positions because they have to be placed on a surface that's within arm's reach, whereas Wamai, you can basically throw them like a frisbee across the map into such unpredictable positions. And on top of that, Magnet isn't revealed going outside there because you can just do it so quickly. So hopefully Elevate don't expend too much utility out there, but so far it's looking like it might be an office or even just a straight take in towards the bomb site.
Yeah, just being careful with their drones there. Aces is the one that they need to worry about, being in that stuck position. Magnet and Fountain easy to rotate back, as well as Tex, and this looks like it might be on. Digital does get the entry onto Aces. There's that position and a push down the hallway from God Legion. This is nice from Elevate so far.
The plant, though, is denied by Fnatic, leaving it in a 3-on-3. The diffuser on site, so it doesn't quite go the way of Elevate so far. Digital was only a couple of seconds from securing that plant. It does feel like a little bit of a reset now, approaching the halfway point of the round, but God Legion will drop Lusty, so Mentalist and Magnet are now left alone to try and clutch this round out. There is still a defender inside of Office. I don't think God Legion has that intel just yet, so Elevate now need to spend their time, a commodity that they are quite rich in at the moment, to work out where these players are.
Yeah, and this could be the end of Worthy. Here's a player at the window that can just peek up and take him out at any second here, and that's what is going to happen. Bit unfortunate that Elevate not careful enough there. Oh, Magnet also gets that other one onto God Legion, but it's a 1 versus 2, all up to Mentalist. But God Legion closes it out. Guys, guess what? It's 4-4.
Elevate not going down without a fight. Some great aggression there from God Legion will net him a few handy kills that round. I thought it might have been over there when Digital's plant was denied with only a couple of seconds to go, but Elevate were able to adapt on the fly. A common theme throughout tonight for each team. Talk about adaptations. We are now going to see Fnatic switch things up, heading into ventilation and workshop. I think one thing to maybe talk about a little bit is the utility game. It's something that we talked about a lot pre-game. We have seen it recently where defenders are bringing a lot of that utility to the table for the attackers to clear. Do you feel like that's had a pretty significant impact on how this has played out so far tonight?
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
I wouldn't say significant, but of course it's going to create complications that are at least slowing down some of these attacks or making them have to think about things a bit differently. This round in particular is going to be quite interesting because when you pair the Goyo with the castle, that's already a lot of soft breach that's required just to open or clear that utility. That's one thing, and then there's ADSs that you have to deal with on top of that. But I don't think it's had like a critical role, but of course it's going to be a hindrance regardless because you can't just, for example, you can't just rush site. If there's a shield there, could be someone playing behind the shield, so you have to think about how to clear that.
5 seconds left before insertion.
It's definitely been a heavy frag game so far though, with both teams bringing
Locate and defuse the bomb.
heavy aggression
Defender has left the designated staging area.
to the table. Lusty with a very aggressive spawn peek there onto the drone. Some intel denied there. Magnet though, let's highlight him for a second. Currently on 9 kills, and I think it's fair to say that he's definitely been getting more kills than usual for his team in recent times. And, I mean, it was evident at the 6th Invitational, and it looks like that form is really carrying on here to Pro League.
I mean, that's really been a standout for me for Season 11 in general. I definitely spoke about it a lot in the first half. That Magnet has come back into some comfort. He was struggling a little bit in the previous iteration of the Fnatic roster, but since the pickup of Mentalist and Tex, he has just been playing a completely different game, essentially. It's meant that Fnatic have been a bit more successful. Lusty is under fire, pretty heavy there in break room. Lucky to still be alive, to be completely honest, and oh my lord, the pre-fire from Red. Probably some intel. Either way, good night, Tex. A good start to the round from Elevate.
And as you mentioned, Lusty very low on HP here, so this is looking dangerous for Fnatic. Lusty only a whisker away from being taken out. Mentalist as well now has been struck low, so Elevate are in a very nice position to get the lead here. Keep in mind that they were trailing for so much of this game, and there we go. That will be Red taking him out using the Goyo shield. And now it's a 5-on-3.
Starting to see a bit of a polarizing effect or a contrast effect from the first half. It was Fnatic just running over the top of Elevate in their attacks. And if Elevate managed to secure this round, that would be 3 attack rounds in a row that they've secured. So difference to map 1 for sure, but either way, these teams constantly adapting to each other, and it's quite beautiful to see.
That shot from Mentalist was pretty beautiful as well, running the red dot UMP. Nets himself a kill despite being so close to death. The repeat from Worthy doesn't quite catch him as he crosses potentially his crosshair. And Elevate now taking this time to drone it out and try and find out where these remaining members are scattered around the map.
Scattered is a great word because they are all very separate. Ace is playing very solo in the bathroom, Mentalist playing around the metal stairs, and then we saw Magnet over in Customs. So very separated. That's Aces that's taken down though. He was one of the players that had a lot of HP. Mentalist is the one that is pretty much one shot. Could be 1 HP taking a bullet, but regardless, he's going to have to be careful. Speaking of being careful, time ticking away from Elevate. They're going to have to be careful not to have to rush this.
Mentalist in a great position to deny the entry. He gets one, but misses on the second, leaving it in a 2-on-3. Vast going for the plant. Magnet gets one as well. So now Red is tasked with covering it. Vast will be able to just get it down in time, but this flank from Mentalist could be absolutely massive as Magnet gets Fast, and Red on such low HP, not likely to win this round. He's a long way away from that bomb as well, as it was planted a fair way away from him currently. Trying to hold that angle, waiting for any players to rotate, potentially having intel on the bomb if there is a player going for that defuse. He might know there's a player to his left, but he unpeaks at the wrong time, and he's taken out there by Magnet. And Fnatic will take a round that wasn't looking great for them, but they managed to bring it back.
Defenders win.
It really wasn't. It was looking so much like it was an Elevate round, but those angles from Fnatic, just beautiful. Mentalist in particular, holding a great angle from the bottom of the metal stairs in towards the rotate that Elevate just weren't ready for. And I was in the middle of saying it just before we started to see the end of the round. It was time became a massive factor there. And that's a real against the grain round for Fnatic. Shooting out to 5-4 now, in the position where one round gets them at least 1 point.
Bathroom and Tunnels, interestingly enough, will be where Fnatic heads to. If I've been tracking these rounds correctly, this is going to be the first time tonight we see this objective up here. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of setup Fnatic decides to take, and how, I guess, Elevate are going to approach the site, because they haven't attacked it yet. And it is a site that isn't picked often, so maybe Elevate won't have as much experience approaching this site.
Yeah, I was talking about this at the start of the map, whether Fnatic might bring out Bathroom. It's a site we've seen them play before internationally, especially. So if Elevate have done their prep, which I'm sure they have, they'll be aware that this was an option, and hopefully they have had a chance to prepare it. But like you said, it's not played that often in ANZ. Not as much practice attacking it. This could be what it takes for Fnatic to create that separation and at least get themselves a point in the series tonight, and just stop Elevate from taking the extra points, which would shoot them to the top of the ladder.
Attackers' objective is to defuse the bomb.
Definitely would be interesting though if Elevate do end up winning this map 7-5. Or rather, yeah, okay, I'm confusing myself here. It is, keep in mind, quite a difficult process in separating these teams, the way that the tiebreaker works, but if Elevate do win, they do of course overtake Fnatic because of that head-to-head, so keep that in mind. If Fnatic win though, they will have more points overall than Elevate, so they will retain first place. And then it will come down to potentially TBD can overtake Fnatic later in the season in the final playday, is that correct?
Yes, but that would also depend on a few other things. So of course TBD do have Elevate in the final playday, so that would mean they would have to be beating Elevate, and it would mean that Wildcard would need to be beating Fnatic, which is the other big matchup that we'll have tomorrow night.
Definitely a big week here in ANZ, super week of course, as Mentalist will get that first kill, as we see all the teams bunched together in seeding, fighting it out for critical points late round. This contest being no exception so far. Elevate, unfortunately for them, are on the back foot, left with no hard breach for the remainder of this round. Fnatic with some crazy vertical control, so many holes being created, and it's going to be up to Elevate to try and clear that out.
Yeah, I really like the strat too, because it means that teams can't push Workshop, which we see quite frequently. Of course, the ranked way to push it is just open Bathroom, Teller's Wall, and just try to plant behind the soda machine and not do a whole lot else. But what we've seen in Pro League a lot is people take Workshop, they push through Workshop, and then they try and plant in Bathroom. And this could be danger for God Legion. He's going to walk straight into these holes, potentially unaware of the pressure above. He does get an opening pick onto Mentalist. Flank coming out, making it a 4 versus 2. All up to Vast and Worthy. 40 seconds to go, a bit of time, but it's not looking too great for them.
The win is on the line here for Elevate, because if Fnatic win this round, they'll head to match point, and Magnet will get that kill, leaving it up to Worthy. He's getting wallbanged through that Workshop wall. I think he got the down there. He got the kill, in fact, but the refrag from Tex from above was massive. No, it was... Yes, it was. Okay, so it was a trade. That's why. The kill cam confused me a little bit there. But either way, Fnatic do take that round. They head to match point. So Elevate, unfortunately, won't be able to get the 6 points tonight.
No, not the 6, but they can hunt down the 4. So they get 2 rounds in a row, means they will take 4 points for the series. And importantly, they're head-to-head against Fnatic. So that if they do equal points with Fnatic, they will be able to pull in front. 2 rounds is what it will take for Elevate. 1 round is what it will take for Fnatic. On top of that head-to-head argument, Elevate need to get at least 1 more round if they want to force their head-to-head to be a little bit more spread out, seeing as they only beat Fnatic 7-5. If Fnatic win 7-4, then that means Fnatic take their head-to-head.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many
Definitely a
bombs
fair
as they
point.
can.
So Elevate are going to continue to fight as hard as they possibly can, push for at least 1 more round, ideally 2. Try and get those 4 points. Magnet though, let's highlight him once again. He's currently going 14-6. Absolutely massive there for his team, and that last round in particular, hitting a really nice flank, completely shutting down any chance Elevate had at getting back into that round. And we have seen quite a bit of Vigil play tonight, haven't we, Raven? And with pretty good effect as well.
Yeah, quite a lot of
Attackers
Vigil
must
is
locate
correct.
and defuse a bomb.
And it seems like it's worked out. It's hard to say whether his utilities had a massive impact, but either way, he's quite a comfortable operator for pro level players to use. So good that it's working out. Elevate will need to pull out a pretty clean attack here. Fnatic holding it a little differently yet again. Some presence in security break room this time, which means that it won't be an easy free take for Elevate. It looks like they're setting up for maybe that East execute again. That's what we were suspecting last time. Whether that's how it pans out.
Worthy for Elevate, currently the only player on that roster who is positive in his kill-death ratio. A little bit concerning for the team who haven't been as impactful on the frag department as they were in map number 1. Nonetheless though, they still have a chance to get a point here. Mentalist though, he will get the ball rolling again for Fnatic, and God Legion will be taken off the board. He's been having a little bit of a rough map too, hasn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't quite got into it in the form that we would expect to see from God Legion. Worthy has started to fill a bit of that void. He's had a pretty good night in general. First map was quite good for him also. But either way, a preventable death there from God Legion. Worthy was in customs, could have potentially cut that off. Some mistiming, and it means that Fnatic have a lot of control still, and half the rounds ticked away. It's going to be a really tough end of the round for Elevate if they want to hang on.
Fnatic in such strong positions. Worthy they will get one. This bullet hole from Tex almost nets him a kill, but he just misses that shot. It does appear as if Magnet is aware that there are players outside this wall, but as to where they are, he doesn't know exactly. He will be flashed. Will the push come out from Elevate? It won't, but the coverage is there. Nade as well there from Worthy. Drops Magnet eventually. So it is a 4-on-3 now in favor of Elevate.
Yeah, and they've done well to bring this back. Tex is also very, very low. Single shot will take him out, which would give Elevate a huge man advantage, and that is what they've got now in a 4 versus 2. It's just Lusty and Aces. Big clutch players for Fnatic. That C4 missing the mark, but hitting the exothermic charge potentially.
I almost thought Digital was going to be dropped there. He does have a second exothermic charge, and he does use that on the wall. No way Fnatic denying that now, and they need to go for kills. Lusty gets lit up, but he's going to get super aggressive on that peak. Can't quite net the kill, and will eventually be squeezed out there by Elevate, leaving all up to Aces. He loves Maestro. We know he can hit clutches with this operator. It's definitely possible. 2 players left to try and cover Digital's plant, and they will be successful in doing so. And Raven, once again, we are going to the final round.
That we are, and a great way for Elevate to bring it back. I had almost, I'm not going to say written them off, but I had cast a lot of doubt over them bringing that round back, considering the positions that Fnatic had. But they took their time, and they used their utility really well. Worthy in particular, I believe he was the one that got the 2 entry picks for Elevate to really bring that back. So again, he's becoming to be quite the impact for them against Fnatic in this entire series.
That he is. And for the final round, we will see Fnatic head to Armory and Archives. We've seen this site quite a bit this evening. Of course, this being the second time these teams are playing Border due to the new map veto system, which allows for such circumstances. Who's your tip, Raven? If you had to pick one team for this final round, who is it? That is the $1 million question. Oh, not a $1 million question,
man.
The big question.
Throughout this entire series, it has never at any stage become easy to predict who is going to come away with any particular amount of points. We've had both of them come right down to the wire. They literally couldn't be going any deeper in terms of rounds. Even round length, most of them have come down to final seconds. So it's so hard to call, and it's a round by round adaptation to what these teams are doing. Things are just constantly changing. Nothing has been the same.
5 seconds left.
As we jump into the final round here, match point in favor of Fnatic. Definitely feel the tension rising. Neither of these teams wanting to go down without a fight, because the stakes are so high. Fnatic having such a strong start here to map number 2, but Elevate just continue to fight back here. Do they have enough left in the tank to try and draw this map out? We saw them win the first one, 7-5, just edging out their opponents in Fnatic. Definitely been a tough contest, a sweaty contest, as we've said multiple times tonight. The question is, who will end out on top here at the end?
Really important. He could be Magnet's position here, playing around the east stairs doorway. Is it playing with fire? Because that is quite an easy spot to quick peek if he is droned out. But if he's not spotted, gets back alive. If he wasn't spotted, he could have had a devastating effect to Elevate. He has survived back into the office, joining Tex there, and not 100% sure exactly where Elevate are going to go, but it's looking like they're going to do the armory push here, which has worked out relatively well for them.
A bomb has been located.
One thing I want to quickly note is no one from Elevate has shot that speaker, so we are being given that friendly reminder, do not board the helicopter. Either way though, Elevate, not too worried by that. We'll now try and head towards the main wall. Again, these electro claws from Fnatic posing an issue, as Lusty has placed them in such difficult positions, and it's going to be up to Elevate to try and clear them out.
Some HP taken off Tex in an engagement we didn't quite see, but him being quite low is again going to create some difficulties, given his playstyle being a pretty comfort, aggressive playstyle. When you're low HP, it makes you just play, a little bit more passive, a little bit more patient. So having him on low HP is going to be really important for Elevate. We haven't had any opening kills yet as we enter the final minute. And Vast is just trying to hold down Customs here while Worthy bucks out that all-important position, not getting that wall open. Every second delays and really puts pressure onto Elevate.
A close round to end a close series, as the wall will be opened by Elevate. Do they have enough here to win the round? Strong positions being held at the moment, and there we go. The attack will be spearheaded by Vast, who gets one. Lusty gets one back though, but Vast goes up and gets a second. The frags are just coming out left, right, and center, and Elevate, unfortunately, are now left at the man disadvantage. The Repel will come in, but that's shut down as well. And now God Legion needs to hit a 1-on-3, but Aces will come up clutch for Fnatic. Win round number 12. And it's going to be one map each tonight. 7-5, 7-5. What a series, Raven. Despite it being the same map twice, that was very fun to watch.
Incredibly enjoyable, high pressure, tense match at the top of the ladder in ANZ. Fnatic losing another map tonight. This is probably the first time in a long time that they've lost maps, in consecutive nights. What a match from Magnet out there on 15 and 7. Mentalist also backing it up on 12 kills. And I want to highlight also Worthy. He had a rough week last week. It was his first play week with Elevate. But this week he really turned it around, stepped it up, and he had quite the impact for Elevate.
Yeah, I just think both teams overall really performed well. I think neither of them felt comfortable at any stage, which definitely, I think, exaggerates how close ANZ as a region is really getting at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And we've just seen Fnatic lose a map to TBD last night, a map to Elevate tonight. So it shows that these top teams are actually quite close to each other. Fnatic were dominantly out in front coming into the second half, but they had only played the bottom 4 teams. So you would expect that that would be the case. And even then, they did have a draw to Kanga. Outside of that, pretty strong performances. So we're seeing them really be challenged by the top 4 teams here, or the other 3 on the top end. and they've got one opponent left, which is Wildcard, and who knows how that could go.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Super Week. We see all these close matches in quick succession, and the standings from last night may be completely different to what we end up seeing at the end of the season. It's definitely still not set in stone, despite Elevate not being able to get both those map wins. I guess maybe we can start theory crafting a little bit about that. How do you think, let's start with Fnatic, how do you think they're going to shape up for the rest of the season? Because despite losing one map tonight and last night, they are still in a strong position.
They are now out in front by 1 point over TBD, and 1 point over Elevate. Almost lost it. So that's very, very tight in itself. On top of that, they do have to contend with Wildcard, who in the past have played quite well against Fnatic in Pro League matches. I mean, last season they were also neck and neck in a series very similar to the one we just saw, where Fnatic, based on a Virtue clutch, managed to secure a draw, which prevented Wildcard from being in the top 2 position outright. So I don't know, it really could go any way. I'm honestly confused and I don't know where it could go. The math is very deep, especially because of this head-to-head being a 7-5, 7-5. We have to really knuckle down, because if Elevate and Fnatic end up on equal points, at this stage, I've got no idea who would be out on top.
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty of it. I guess as well, Elevate, what would you be sort of thinking on their behalf at the moment? If you were in that Elevate camp at the moment, would you be happy with how tonight's gone? Because I think heading into this one, they were really confident and really pushing to get those 6 points. So they just fell short. How would they sort of be holding up after a night like tonight?
I'd say they'd be reasonably happy. They would have definitely felt like they could have had 6 points. There was that stage there where they brought it back and they were looking in the box seat to really win the map. And then there was that round that I said Fnatic got that against the green round, which was a 2v4. So Elevate, by all rights, probably could have had that round. That might have completely changed this conversation and how tonight played out. So I think they'll be mostly happy, but they were tasting those 6 points at one stage.
Well, I mean, let's hone in maybe on some individual performances. As we spoke about multiple times throughout that map, Magnet was just let off the leash, basically running around gunning freely. How has that actually sort of come into fruition? Because as you sort of alluded to, Magnet hasn't traditionally, or at least always, been such a heavy impact fragger for Fnatic. So what's sort of changed in that department to give him that freedom?
This must be something to do with their roles, the composition. In the early season, or early half of the season, I should say, he said in interviews that it was just that everyone felt comfortable and that the team gelled together. And that just made him feel like he can play as his best self, if you want to call it that. So I think that's just continued really ever since Six Invitational. We saw him perform really well there as well. So he's just continuing this strong form, and I think it's just based on the team comfort and their culture.
Well, let's put Fnatic to the backs of our minds for now. Elevate, they managed to win the first matchup tonight, and we have the interview ready and waiting with Fast. Let's say hello. Vast,
hey guys.
How's it going, mate? You can finally take a breath now. What are your initial thoughts heading out of that match?
That's my first time playing back-to-back, or like one map back-to-back. It just felt like a really long game, like just being on the one map.
Yeah, I guess it would almost feel like it's 2 halves instead of it being, like one map and then one map. It's kind of just like playing 2 halves. I do want to ask about the veto. Did you guys intend to do the double border? Can you try and give us some insight to how that came about?
So with the veto, we had a feeling that they really wanted us on Cafe. So we banned Cafe and left it with Border and Theme Park, and they clearly just didn't want to play Theme Park. So we kind of tried to do like a force veto on them. And they just stuck with the double border, I guess.
Yeah. And coming into the second map, obviously you guys came off the win on map 1, which would have felt great. Was there anything when you came into the second map that you consciously decided to try and change or focus on?
It took us a couple rounds, but we realized like they were adapting really quickly. I think in the first 3 rounds of the second map, they were just like really aggro and doing like being very unpredictable. So we just said like we need to stop like trying to do what we did last map and just kind of play a bit loose and just play together and try to frag. But that took us a little bit too long to kind of realize. I wish we kind of realized that at halftime.
Yeah,
between the maps.
Well, you guys will be taking on TBD tomorrow night. Any expectations heading into what will probably be another pretty close match?
I don't really have any expectations. We're just gonna, try to play our best, kind of enjoy it at the same time as well. And whatever happens, happens. Really, I'm not too fussed about winning or losing as long as, we play good. I don't want to play bad.
Well, that's definitely fair enough. Vast, we appreciate your time as always, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
It's all about having fun. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be a little bit upset that they weren't able to get both maps considering how close it was, but I think the fact that they were able to finally just beat Fnatic after such a long drought of drawing with them definitely got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, I think they'd be pretty happy with at least the first map win. They were so close in the second. Even getting that draw, it was within reach. But Fnatic just too strong in the end. And yeah, he alluded to it. They're going to go into the next match with, I guess, a little bit less pressure than what people would expect, which is probably good because last season they did fall short at the end. They're in a high pressure match. So this time they're just taking it easy. Whatever happens, happens. They just don't want to play bad. And of course, you don't want that, especially at the end of the season. You want to end on a high.
I think that's actually a really interesting point that gets brought up a lot, that when teams don't feel as much pressure, we often see them playing a lot looser and a lot more aggressive. And I think that does make for some exciting siege. And I think that it actually had a bit of a flow-on effect tonight, despite it being high stakes. I think there was a little bit of the teams wanting to have a bit of fun, play a little bit looser, and it definitely showed, particularly on those defenses. Fnatic, for example, were just pretty much taking entire map control, and it made for a lot of gunfights.
Yeah, and Vast was even saying the first couple of rounds of that second map, they were playing a bit different and a bit rigid, and he just said they needed to loosen up and take it to them. And so once they did that, it was a really tight contest. If they had, come out a bit stronger earlier, maybe that whole map could have played differently.
Well, talking about frags, one player who went off tonight was Magnet from Fnatic. We have the interview with him ready, so let's say hello.
G'day, boys.
G'day, Magnet. A couple of times tonight we were talking about how sweaty this contest was. From your perspective, what was it feeling like coming out of what was basically 24 rounds of border?
Yeah, coming into this game to start, it was just all about, who can adapt in every single round better, because as soon as we push one way, they'd put the defenses on that way, then we'd go the other way. So yeah, definitely very sweaty. I don't know, 2 hours of play maybe, but yeah, still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually want to ask about the mental fatigue of that. Playing 2 big games in itself can be a bit fatiguing, and I know you guys aren't unfamiliar with that. But in the Pro League scenario, 2 maps back to back at the same, how did that kind of feel towards the end for you guys?
Honestly, it didn't feel any different to playing 2 different maps back to back. It was just about making sure we reset after map 1 and then go into map 2 with a clean, fresh mind.
Yeah, and on the first map that Elevate ended up coming back to win, obviously they won 4 rounds in a row to close it out. Was there something in particular that they were pulling out that just made it tough for you guys to be able to readapt?
Say again, sorry? Ask you again.
On the first map, they won 4 rounds in a row to bring it back. Was there something in particular in those 4 rounds that just made it tough for you guys to readapt? Because we hadn't seen either of you guys really make a run.
Honestly, I mean, I know everyone sort of says this when they lose, that it's on their own team's mistakes. There are definitely some rounds where we should have closed out, like 2v1s and whatnot. So we're definitely playing those not very well, but there were still close rounds nonetheless. And I guess they had the momentum in their favor. And once we sort of couldn't pull back a round that we should have taken, then it was much harder to then get confidence for the next round.
All right, well, of course, tomorrow night you guys will be taking on Wildcard, who I guess traditionally have probably been your biggest rival in ANZ. How do you expect that one to play out?
We expect to win 1 map at least to hopefully secure that #1 spot. I don't know, the maths are all different now, but yeah, hopefully at least 1 win will do us good.
Awesome. Well, Magnet, we appreciate your time as always, and we'll see you tomorrow night. All the best.
Thanks very much.